Hi, in this video we have an Excel file, and this is a scenario. Let's say I have a value in column A1, column B1, C1 and D1. Okay, I have some values here, and whichever the cell that I am selecting, let's say I am selecting A1, okay, that value should reflect in here in the column E1 by itself. Just by selection it should reflect. For example, if I am selecting B1, the value should reflect here 1. Okay, this is my expectation how to do that, and unfortunately there is no formulas to find out on click. Okay, there is no such formulas we have to achieve this, and so we have to write a Visual Basic coding so in the Excel file. So we have an option, even if you're not sure how to do it, it's very simple steps. Let's see how to do that. Okay, so this is a scenario, and I want to automate the selection, and I want to paste it in column E1. Okay, so let's say this is the sheet, and I have a sheet 1, and what we have to do, how to write a coding. So before going into that, we want to understand what is the predefined function in Excel, okay, to identify whether I'm selecting any of the cell. Okay, on click event, is there anything that we can find out in Excel? So we have a function. Okay, we will discuss about that, and before that we will get into the coding editor page in this Excel. Just what you have to do, just right click the sheet 1, and you will see an option called view code. So just click on that, it will open up a Visual Basic editor window, and here the window that you are seeing is the section where you can write a coding, and by default sheet 1 is a selector, and you can actually write a code. Okay, so whatever the code that your Visual Basic coding you're going to write in this sheet 1, it is applicable only for sheet 1. Okay, so now I'm going to close this. Okay, and before that we will save this file in the machine. Let's say I'm going to save it in the machine, and I'll give the name as hello, and note it down. You have to change this type as not as Excel workbook, but you have to save it as Excel macro enabled workbook. Okay, because we are going to write some coding. So if you change that type, it will change the extension as XLSM. Okay, just note it down. So just save this file. Now we are ready to write the code here. So once again just go to view code, and before that, if you see, if I open another sheet, a new sheet, sheet 2, and if I go to the view code section, you will see 2 sheets available, and you can write coding for sheet 1 and sheet 2 as well. So whatever the coding that I'm going to write in sheet 2, it is applicable only for sheet 2, and if whatever I'm writing for sheet 1, it's applicable only for sheet 1. Okay, this is just for understanding. So I'm closing this window. Okay, so now here is the small coding which we are using here. Okay, so whenever I'm selecting on click event, it's like on click event, right? So Excel itself has that predefined coding, the function in the macros. So let's use that coding. So I'm going to sheet 1. Even if you're there in sheet 2, ensure that you're opening the sheet 1. Just double click sheet 1 to open this window, and you will just copy paste that function. Okay, so this is a predefined function. Okay, it's not something we have written, it's already there, existing one, and we are just using it. So it's this worksheet selection change, and it takes some input value. Okay, so this is a predefined function which we should use for this particular scenario. Okay, and whether this function is working or not, I just want to test it out. So I'm just using the message box function. I'm saying hi. So please note out, I've written this procedure in the sheet 1. There's no code here in sheet 2. Okay, so in sheet 1 I have just used that existing procedure, and I have just given the message just to test it out. So I'm just saving this file and closing it, and in sheet 2 I'm going to sheet 2, I'm just clicking somewhere. Okay, selection change, it's not working, and I'm going to sheet 1. Already by default some selections will be there, right? So if you click somewhere, I'm expecting that message box pop up. Okay, now it's working. So I know that this function is the right function to write the coding that we want. Okay, so inside that procedure, what we have to do is, whenever I'm selecting A1, B1, C1, D1, take the value and put it in column E1. So that's a simple coding that we are going to do. So just go and view code, and we want to replace this message box with our coding. So we already have a coding. I just want to explain this coding here. Okay, so if you know that this function, it's already using an input target as range. That means whichever the file, the cell that I'm selecting, it takes that particular value here, that cell. So I can select a range of cell also. That's why it's the input is a range of cells. I can use multiple cells at one shot. So it says that Selection.Count is equal to 1. That means it is nothing but whether I'm doing only single click or not. If it is a only single click, it's not a multiple selection, then I'm getting into this if condition. Okay, so in this once I selected any particular cell, one cell, then I'm using that particular target value which I have selected. I'm checking whether the target is within this range of A1 to D1, A1, B1, C1, D1. If then, it's very simple, the value, I'm just taking the target dot value and putting it in the column E1. That's it. So that's the coding, and we have written the code in sheet 1. And still, if you see, sheet 2 doesn't have anything here. Okay, so this is the coding, and hopefully it should work. File, save, close. And if I'm selecting here, that particular user-defined function, the selection change activates, but it's not in the range of A1 to D1, and it is also a single click. See, it's not reflecting, but if I'm selecting A1 to D1 cell, it takes the value of the C1 cell and put it in column E1. And if I'm doing it for D1, it works. Okay, so we have achieved whatever we had desired, and we can actually further improve our coding, and we can actually see what else we can do here. So let's say I want to use the same concept, okay, the same calculation in sheet 2 as well. I want to do that. Let's say I want to do the same here, and whatever it's been selected, I want to see the value in E1 as well in sheet 2. How to do that? Normally what we will do, we will just go to the view code, and in sheet 2 already we have the function. Just copy and paste it in sheet 2 as well, and it should work, because that particular sheet also takes the target of that particular sheet 2. If it is only one click, it looks for the range, whether it's A1 to D1 range. If then, it puts the value in U. So if you just save and test it out, in sheet 1 it works. If you go to sheet 2 and also do the same thing, it works again. So we could achieve in any sheet now, it's possible. But if you look at this is a bad coding, because normally developers cannot repeat the coding once in each sheets. So we have to reduce the coding. So what we can do, we can avoid this duplicate coding by writing this functionality in one particular function and call them. So what we can do is just right click this VBA project and go to the insert and go to the model function. Okay, and it creates a new model. That means this is a predefined user model, which it's a user defined user model which we can write. So let's say I'm writing a own code. Sub on click and message. So whatever I'm going to write here, I can just call this function in sheet 1 and sheet 2, and whatever I'm going to write here, it will be called by this sheet 1. It's a very simple logic. So what we are going to do is, in sheet 1 I have already written the code, right? So what I'm doing is I'm just going to copy and put it in this section. And when I look at this coding, now I see that target is one thing, which is actually the input of this particular predefined function, right? So this input I need to pass on to this function also, right? So this is the input. So if I have to give this input also to this onClick function, then only it can understand what is target here. Okay, so now I can just call this function with an input target. So just copy this function, and I don't want this function anymore. In sheet 1 I can just say call my user defined function which I have written on click cell, and give the input which we get from this worksheet select and change as an input to this my function. I'll change the name as click cell because I can give any name. I will just change the name as on click cell. Okay, and similarly for sheet 2 I don't want this coding now. I can just call this function, copy, go to sheet 2, paste it, file, save. So I have reduced the coding. If you see, just one call, I'm just calling that procedure which is written in model, and I'm giving the input as target. So I'm using the only one code. I'm not duplicating anything here. So file, save, close, and if you see that it should work again. So 11, 12, 143. See, it works in sheet 2. In sheet 1 also it's working. So let's say after this scenario, now I don't want this functionality to work for sheet 2. I want to disable it. What you can do, you can just keep on improving your coding. Okay, just go to view code, and in the model function only both the sheet 1 and sheet 2 is calling this procedure. So I just need to restrict for sheet 2, right? So you can write if ActiveSheet.Name is only sheet 1, then use this function, otherwise don't use it. So I can say else message box this is not sheet 1. I can give some message also, and I can close the indif. So whenever I'm not selecting the sheet 1, okay, it will give a message that this functionality won't work. Okay, so just save this, close it, and in sheet 1 it should work. Okay, so I'm selecting 12, see it's still working, but in sheet 2, so I'm just keep on improving the code. Okay, so here it should not work. So if I'm selecting any cell, even here or whatever, it should give me a message that this is not a sheet 1. See, this is not a sheet 1. Okay, so hopefully it gives you an idea how to do this automation in this VBA coding. Thanks for watching.